Hi, this is Viviana Fimbres, and this is my presentation on online misinformation lateral reading. So this presentation has two categories. I will begin by going over the PowerPoint that will be provided to instructors in the design plan document, and then I will go over future plans that I have for this lesson, such as extensions or other things that we can do after this lesson. And then finally, I will be reviewing the design plan document with you, and I will make point of the changes I have made to that document based on the peer feedback that I have received. This lesson has been broken down into 2 days, but depending on the class, it can be stretched out into 3 or 4 days, depending on the class. So day one, I have approximately 75 minutes for this class, which begins by introducing the learning objectives for that day. So students will be able to identify who is behind the information with 80% accuracy for each of the readings provided. They will also be able to confirm information using at least one fact-checking organization. And finally, they'll be able to use the vocabulary words introduced with 80% accuracy. Then they will begin with a pre-assessment, which is in Google Classroom, and they will be able to complete that assessment on their own, and then they will prepare for the class discussion, who will take care of the prompt that asks, how can you tell who is behind the information provided on the Facebook post? So here I will show you what that pre-assessment looks like. So you click on it, and it takes you directly to Google Classroom, and then this is what the students will see. They click on the pre-assessment, and in this case, they will be reviewing 2 Facebook posts, and then they will be answering these questions. So first, they have to decide if post A or post B are most more trustworthy, and then they go on and give me a short answer on why they chose the post that they chose. Okay, so we can go back to our PowerPoint. So once they have completed that and we have discussed that question, we can move on to the vocabulary words that they will be working with throughout this lesson. And so as a class, they will be matching the word with its correct meaning. And we can do this through Zoom. Students can enter their responses in the chat, and then we can discuss the answers as a class. Once we are finished with the vocabulary, we can go on to the introduction to lateral reading. And so fact-checking organizations are very important when we're doing lateral reading. So the instructor will go over PolitiFact, factcheck.org, and Snopes, and how to access those organizations. Once they have completed that, the instructor will also go over this example. So here we have a newsline, and the teacher will use one of those fact-checking organizations to review real news right now and to determine if that is a reliable source. So once the teacher has reviewed that, students will move on to practicing on their own. So they will go back to Google Classroom. They will click on practice lateral reading with fact-checking organizations. They will complete that in groups of 3 through Zoom, and then they will prepare for the class discussion. So here, if we click on this, we can see how it takes us directly to the document through Google Classroom, and students can tell me what group they have been part of. They can enter the responses here and it's automatically saved for them. So once they're done with this assignment, we can go ahead and discuss the assignment as a whole class. So these are the 2 questions that we will be answering as a class. What did you learn about the American Journal Review? What sources did you use to help you? And then based on what you learned, do you trust this story? So these are very important discussion questions so that students can think about what they have completed. So then we can explain to students what their homework assignment is, and their homework will be would be on online misinformation, and that is a blog. So students will watch a video on using Wikipedia, and then they will answer this question in the homework section. So let me show you what that looks like. So this is the website that they will have access to. This is the video on using Wikipedia, and then here is the homework assignment. If you click on it, you can see there are 2 websites that they can review, and then there is a question that they need to answer at the end. Okay, moving on to day 2. This day is also 75 minutes long approximately, and we begin with the learning objectives. So students will be able to use click restraint strategies to find reliable information using a search engine. They will be able to analyze the evidence provided by using reverse image search strategy, and they should be able to do this effectively 80% of the time. And then finally, the third learning objective is on the vocabulary that we're using. So we begin with a pre-assessment on what is the evidence. So students will be logging into Google Classroom, they find the pre-assessment, they complete it on their own, and then they prepare for the class discussion. And the class discussion will be on if the post showed strong evidence, and then they explain to why or why not. So this is what it looks like in the Google Classroom. And I made changes to this from the original that I had just to make it look better for students. So does this post provide strong evidence? And then it gives a little explanation of the picture, and then students respond here. So once they're finished with this, we can come back as a class and discuss why or why not the post had strong evidence. And then we have a quick vocabulary review in quizzes, and here's the link to quizzes. So vocabulary on misinformation, there's about 9 questions. It should take about 10 to 15 minutes to complete, and they will be completing this in groups. So when they complete this in groups, it holds them accountable, and a lot of times students are more motivated to be able to help a group of students. So once that is done, we will also review what lateral reading is. So they will be broken up into groups of 3 through Zoom, and they will be able to discuss, how they use lateral reading. And then we come back together as a class, and we share as a whole class what they discussed in their groups. So this is a quick review of what happened the day before. Sometimes when librarians go into classrooms, they don't see classes back to back, so one day after another. So sometimes it might take a week. So having this review is very important. So after that review has been completed, the instructor can go over click restraint and analyzing search results, which is very important for students to understand while they're conducting a search. So when they conduct a search, the instructor will talk about, how do we use the title, what can we learn about the URL, and the importance of reading through the description of each site provided. Then students will be able to practice on their own. They go to the Google Classroom one more time and they select the activity, click restrain, and then they will complete that on their own. And at the end of that activity, we will discuss the answers as a class. So this is what it looks like. They have the directions and then they fill this out, and then they have a few guiding questions to complete. So I really like Google Classroom, how it saves everything and the teacher can go in and review all that. After that has been completed, the instructor will model how to use the reverse image search strategy. So using this picture, the instructor will explain, how we check if this picture is genuine. And then students get to practice this on their own. So they're given another picture. Here's the link that they will get. They click on it and then they follow the same instructions that the teacher followed. And then they come back and discuss what they have found. After that, they review vertical reading versus lateral reading. And the teacher will demonstrate vertical reading using this website. So you can click on the website. This is what it looks like. And the teacher will go over, what does the URL tell you? What's the appearance of this website? What's the language being used? Is it focusing on fundraising and donating? So those are the things that we can do when we do vertical reading, but students as an assignment will have to use lateral reading to determine the trustworthy of this website. So they go back into Google Classroom and they click on the link to see, and then they answer the question provided in Google Classroom. So, is this a trustworthy website? Why or why not? And then here they add their comment. So that would be the end of the lesson. After the lesson, we can determine if we have to reteach any of the strategies we have covered, or if we can add extensions to this lesson. So I had originally planned a game board for this lesson, but it took a lot of time to complete, so I decided to leave it out for now and maybe use it as an extension so that I can go over more strategies that are needed for lateral reading. An extension that I am looking forward to is the video evaluations. So that is very exciting. I would like to be able to add that if I were to extend this lesson. Other activities that we can include are news versus opinion or verifying claims on social media. So now we can move on to the design plan document, and we can see the changes I have made. So I have changed my title. I added lateral reading just because that's the main focus of the lesson. And I added a little bit more information in the overview. I received some feedback on that I needed to include a little bit more information of the types of activity that the students would be completing during the lesson. Um, I didn't make